All right, so this is my week 3 assignment for SSL. It's for our API and the fruit database. So 3 minutes again isn't really going to cover it. It's probably going to be more like a 7-minute video, so I'm going to go ahead and get into it. The first thing I want to start off is with the getFruit.php. I'm just kind of going to go through line by line and kind of go through what my code does. Obviously, here I go and get into the database, create a new PDO instance, and then, as we've been doing in the past, do a prepare to go into the database to prepare a statement. So this one I'm looking for fruit ID, fruit name, fruit color, and fruit image. And I'll talk about fruit image in a little bit. It's kind of what we added on a little bit for our API, but this is kind of creating the API for us. Do the execute, store the results, which is going to be a associate array, and that one is going to be stored in result, and I'm going to do it as an array. That way I can go through it. This header contain application JSON, that's just making sure that we're having the right header go through, and then the JSON file is going to store all the encoded information for this file. All right, so this document is actually going to call the get fruit and grab that, and we're going to store it in content. So as you can see here, it's going to go get the contents of that file, that getFruit.php, store that in a variable contents. Then we're going to decode it, because back in this one we actually encoded the JSON, and then I'm actually going to show you what that returns, because this is actually going to, as this prepare is actually going to run in order by random, so it's going to return just one random value. So order by random, we're going to get 1, so this is just going to be random. You know, it will return more, but random items, and then we're going to limit 1, so we're going to get a random item every single time. So back to the fruits add. Let's actually go and open up the get fruit. So get fruit, you can see here, this is a JSON object. So the fruits, and it's going to return something different every time. So every time that you go and refresh the page, it's going to randomize it and come up with something different. And there coincidentally, it came up with the same thing a couple times, but there's only, I think, 7 things in the database, so your odds of getting the same thing are pretty great. But this is the JSON that it's going to return. Get back out of this. So with that JSON, I'm actually going to run another loop here to find out what that item is, so I can display it out. Now this gives me the full length fruit image. I just want to find out, the whole path of that. So then, basically this is exactly what was in the header of the other one, but this one I have the try catch. So if I have an error, I can go ahead and display it on the page. Same thing as we had last week here for the posts, except we added the fruit image. So as the fruit image goes, same thing as last week here. And then I do have the error coming back as a H1 on the top of the page above everything else. So nothing's really changed there. Again, we've added the fruit image. As far as the HTML this week, again, added the image in there, but we did add a couple different things going on here. Here we go again with the fruit image. I just say paste your fruit image here. This is from last week. Now here's where it starts to get a little bit different. Now we added this whole section. This is the dynamic section. And once you see the application, you'll see a little bit more here. So this is called the fruit spin, where I'm selecting again, and I'm ordering it by ascending. Now I'm going to take the results of this, I'm going to fetch them all, and then I'm going to do a for each loop on it. So inside of this, I'll be able to go through and show you, the fruit image at the first position, second position. Now the third position, I'll explain this a little bit later, is the actual random one that's coming back. So this is going to be the whatever's coming back from the JSON, the random one. It's always going to be in this one right here, this one, which is the second index, third item. So Again, I have a couple other ones in here. This is just to make sure that there's plenty of items, and you'll see what I'm talking about in a moment. So besides that, we come inside of here. We've added a couple other things. This is the same thing as last week, and we added an image tag here that's actually going to parse the image. So that's something that I thought was pretty ugly, is actually having the full URL in there. So what I did is I parsed the URL. I took the fruit image, and then I used parse URL, which is a real nice PHP method there. So I parsed it, and it's just going to come back with whatever the .com is. So instead of that big long string, it's going to come back with something real nice, and I put it there looking for the host. So that's pretty nice. That stays the same. And then I added a bunch of jQuery and some other things. So I'll show you some more of this after I show you the application. So let's get into the application a little bit. So this is the JSON. Let's look at the file. So as you can see, our assignment was to come up with a random fruit to be able to show. Well, that was kind of boring, so I decided to make mine kind of like a slot machine style. Now, I did have a button here, but I had to get rid of it because it's so addictive. I just want to sit there and push the button and push the button. So I have it triggering on a refresh of a page. So once you refresh, it's going to run through. It uses the ones that are in the table, all the images that are in the table. It uses those, which are dynamically created. So it goes through. Now, the trick here is I'm actually rigging the game. So whatever is in the JSON is actually going to be the winner. So it's not actually a random spin, but it makes it look like it is. So, and you can check that out either way. So everything that comes back, although this is going to return strawberry. Now the next time I'm going to refresh it, so it may not do strawberry. But you can see I have got have an echo or a var dump that had it up here, and it was the same one that's returning in the picture. So some other things that I did, I just showed you there a little bit. Added some jQuery, like I said, just to add a little bit more dynamic of a site. Added that header in there, just a shrinking header. Once the table gets a little bit larger, everything will shrink in line. So just that way you have a little bit more real estate for that table that's in there. So just wanted to toy around with that a little bit. So here I show you where I trim this off. So it's a nice trimmed version of it. Like this is what I'm going for, but not all these are really ideal for the URL that they're providing. So, but this is pretty good. This is a lot better than those huge strings that are in there, and then you have to have this big, long, ugly looking thing in there. So, but let's go ahead and add something into the database just to prove that it does work again. So let's do I don't know, we have a kiwi in there. No kiwi. So let's search a kiwi. Get some images going here. This one looks pretty good. One thing I always make sure is that it's actually going to have a nice path to it. Some of these are data paths, and the data path is not exactly what you want to be putting in there. So let's put a kiwi in. And kiwis are actually brown, so let's do that. And then we're going to add that in. And guess what? It's going to spin. You can already see that kiwi in there. Did not return it as the random one, but it is in the value here. So it's the 8th one in. So even if you go ahead and let's get rid of blueberries, you delete it, now it's going to give you another spin. So it is kind of fun. It's a little bit better, I don't know about better, but more fun than just having a static image in there. Went through and just had a little bit of fun with that and added some jQuery and just did some transitions. So I also wanted to show you that it would return an error if you tried to duplicate the fruit. So let's go ahead and put that kiwi back in. It's a kiwi and it's brown. And I still have that in the clipboard, so let's go ahead and clip that in. And there you go. That fruit has already been entered. So if you actually go and clear the page, it's a whole different ball game. So I hope you like the application. Sorry I keep going a little bit long, but it's hard to get all this information in a short period of time. So have a good night.